Hi everyone, welcome to a quick tutorial on how to do this class schedule assignment over here, which is in the chapter one activity for the Python course that we're doing. So here we go. I'm going to walk you through the requirements of this and just also explain a little bit of what the computer is doing when you're writing code in this language of Python. So what we're being asked to do is to print out our class schedule. Now, if you're using CompuScholar, then when you run a program, the program or the output is going to be printed to another screen, but for me, it's going to be printed down here because I'm using a different website. But let's go through and I'll explain. Let's start with what is the computer doing when you ask, when you run a program, what's going on. So some people say, well, I want to print out the 8 a.m. math class, and then you run it, and then what happens? Then it gets all upset. It says there's an error. Well, the problem is what you're trying to do is you're trying to speak. Basically, you're speaking English to a computer, and the computer can't speak English. It has its own language, kind of like Spanish or French. If you walk up to a French person speaking Spanish, they're not going to know what you're talking about. So you have to, with the computer, you have to speak its language. And regardless of if you use this in your future, I mean, this is a pretty good mental exercise to really think about what it is that you want to accomplish, what it is message you want to convey. So if you want to print out, text like all this, you have to tell the computer, I want you to print something. So the computer goes to the first line and it says, okay, I need to print something. And you have to put in parentheses or it's going to get, the computer's going to get all upset and confused. And then you have to put any sentence that you want in quotations. Can you print stuff without quotations? Yes, but that will be covered in the next, then chapter 2. So, but for now, any sentence that you want to print out, you got to put in quotations. So, for example, this 8 a.m. math class. So the computer goes, okay, line 1, I need to print something, and that thing that I need to print is 8 a.m. math class. So if we click run, look at that. The 8 a.m. math class was printed to the screen. Now, if all works out well, then it will do that and there won't be any errors. So this is part, I'm kind of skipping ahead here. Let's make sure we go through this. Number 1, pick any day of the week and think about a class or work schedule for your chosen day. So I'm just going to copy the one here, but you can make your own. Start your Python code. This I skipped. Start your Python code with a comment at the top that contains your full name. So to make a comment, you do this. Start with this hashtag pound symbol that's above the 3, so like shift 3, and then it's asking that we type our name. So as I said with the computer reading this Python language, when it goes line by line and it figures out what it needs to do. So when it goes to line 1 and it sees this symbol, it basically says, I can ignore everything that's here, because comments like these are meant for the person reading the code. Like you right now, or typically you wouldn't put your name, but you would write instructions for the person checking your code, or an explanation for what your code's about. So, in this case, I would say, oh, my code, it prints class schedule. That you don't have to type this for the, I can't spell. For the requirements of this activity, you don't have to actually write this, but this is what a coder would do. This is what they would write. And so, yes, the computer goes through and it says, I can just ignore this stuff because it sees this symbol. And then it goes to line 3, and it says, oh, I need to print something. I need to print 8 a.m. math class. And then it does that. You click run. See, it ignored the first 2 lines, didn't do anything, and then it printed that. What this is asking is write at least 5 additional Python print statements. So let's go for 6 just to be sure. So and now I'm not going to type this in. I'm sure you're from here. I want you to be able to figure out what you need to do. But it's the same thing as, you know, line number 3. You're going to print out whatever you have at 9, 10, or whatever your class schedule or daily schedule is, and you're going to do that. Let's go for 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to type in whatever it is that you have during your day, and then you click run. And if everything turns out correctly, your schedule will print right here. If something doesn't go right, and you click run, then there's going to be an error. If there's an error, then you did something wrong and you need to go back and check. And to figure out where your problem is, it actually says it right here. Line, what's the problem here? Line 8, the print. It's actually kind of confused. So it's something in this area. Sometimes it's not entirely sure where exactly. It's trying to say, oh, it's line 8, but it's not exactly that. What's going on in this case, I took out a parenthesis. If you take out the parenthesis, then it doesn't know where to stop reading your print statement. And so then the computer gets upset. So it says print everything in these parentheses, but where does it end? And then it gets to this point where it's like, okay, now you're going to print again, but can't because I didn't close the parentheses. So got to make sure that you are using the correct language and grammar, or the computer won't understand what you're talking about. But anyway, that is it for this activity. So go ahead and submit that. I know on your if you're on CompuScholar, then there should be a submission button, and then you'll be all done. Okay. Now I gotta close this out.